मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, authorities clamp down on rumor mongering. Consumer bodies monitor possible fraud. And long queues outside airline office.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Teva Lendua.
Police will come down hard on anyone who spreads false information in relation to the deadly COVID-19 disease. This comes as a man was taken in for spreading rumors on social media about a case of the coronavirus in the Central Division. Police say they took in Bani Kawale, the bodyguard of SEDELPA leader Sitibeni Rambuka, who has been spreading fake news about COVID-19. Apenisa Wangarandovu has more.
Posts such as these have been appearing on the pages of the former police officer for the past few days, which has created more fear and panic amongst Fijians in these trying times. Known for his anti-government posts against the state on fake sites and anti-government pages, Kawale had been recently allegedly been posting numerous alleged fake details about COVID-19 in the Central Division.
The laws are already in place. There's relevant legislations in place that we are working with, that the police officers and the investigators are very much aware of, and that's what we are using in monitoring these things.
At a time when government and health authorities, not only in Fiji but around the world, are trying to fight COVID-19, fear-mongering and panic is something that will not be tolerated.
They create fear-mongering and panic. From a mental health perspective, it's not helping with the mental health of our nation. But also, more importantly, it's not helping our staff to focus.
This is the second such case of fear-mongering, as police had only yesterday questioned a woman for allegedly spreading information on social media about confirmed coronavirus cases at the Nosori Health Center. Police is reminding social media users and members of the public to stop sharing unverified information that do not come from credible sources and listen to the updates issued by government and Ministry of Health officials, which is made in collaboration with the World Health Organization. It says the sharing of unverified information only creates unnecessary panic and needs to stop. Apenisa Wangarandobu, FBC News.
Long queues and frustrated passengers was an apt description of the scenes in front of the Fiji Airways office in Suva yesterday. In response to Fiji Airways' 95% suspension of international flights in the wake of confirmed COVID-19 cases here, it was a rush to get a seat on one of the last few planes leaving, as well as trying to work out how to get Fijians back from countries where the flight suspension was already in effect. Maggie Boyle reports.
Lined up around the building and with COVID-19 precautionary measures in place, access to the Fiji Airways office was restricted. The reason for the onslaught, this directive announced on Friday night.
Our national carrier Fiji Airways has announced a suspension schedule for 95% of its international flight routes.
For some foreign nationals, it's a scramble to now get back home.
The thing on 29th to go, but they suspend the plane, so I have to stay here for long.
And I'm supposed to leave next Sunday. However, there are issues with the flight, so I'm trying to leave tomorrow. Back to Honolulu, Hawaii.
I came to book myself in to fly out as soon as I possibly can. What I've been told is that the 2 flights out tomorrow is fully booked, and we have been waitlisted. So that's a scenario and situation that we have.
Then there was Della Shaw, Fiji's weightlifting manager, trying to bring back her stranded athletes.
Yes, they were scheduled to return tomorrow from Samoa, and it's been suspended. So I'm looking at other possible flights, if they can go through Sydney and through to Fiji.
How many athletes have
we have 3 athletes in Samoa.
Meanwhile, the minister highlighted that there will, in the coming days, be several one-off repatriation flights.
Fiji Airways is working closely with foreign embassies and governments to arrange for one-off repatriation flights to and from Sydney, Auckland, Los Angeles, Tokyo and Hong Kong to allow foreign nationals to safely return home and permit Fijian citizens living abroad to return to Fiji.
The Fiji Airways flight suspensions are scheduled until the end of May, with a possible extension dependent on how the COVID-19 outbreak develops. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, churches, temples and mosques were empty today as heads of religious organizations advised their members to refrain from gathering as a precautionary measure against the virus. It was an unfamiliar scene in the greater Suva area today. Churches filled with empty church pews, silent bells in temples and empty prayer mats in mosques. Tandulala reports.
This was the scene in places of worship around Suva today. These places of worship is usually full every Sunday as people try to sing praise and give thanks to their God. However, after the confirmation of COVID-19 in Fiji, people are now singing praise from home.
We've received advice from our senior reverend for us to respect the advisories being given by the government, and accordingly we've advised our church members to conduct their own sermon within their own houses.
We've been advised to have our sermon within our household after the Prime Minister announced that there will be no more gathering after Fiji confirmed its first case of the virus. So we had our own sermon here at home at 10 a.m. today.
Places of worship left their doors open, allowing its members to get inside without crowding up, allowing them to say their prayers in church or temple if they want to, while respecting the ban in place. Fijians were also determined not to miss out on their Sunday service, resorting to other means by tuning in on live stream or radio to listen to sermons.
If the no gathering advisory will be prolonged, we are looking at matasing a gathering of less than 20 people so that we are able to continue with our service to our members and at the same time respecting the government advisory.
Despite the ban on any form of gathering in place, FBC News noticed that 2 churches were open today, continuing their service as normal. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama announced on Thursday that any gathering of 20 or more people is now banned, and this includes meetings, religious gatherings and sporting events. Tandulala, FBC News.
The Prime Minister says he will be working with religious leaders in Fiji to discuss how they can ensure our faith remains a pillar of our society as we combat the COVID-19 virus. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama has made it clear that restrictions into Lautoka have been initiated for the safety of all Fijians. Making it crystal clear, Bainimarama in a national address reiterated that restricted access into Lautoka city will be vigilantly monitored by the security forces. Bainimarama stressed that since midnight Thursday last week, anyone living within the city's boundaries will have to remain there for 14 days in light of the first of 2 cases of coronavirus that's been confirmed at the Lautoka hospital.
We've received a number of requests from individuals seeking exceptions to our strict confinement protocols. I want to tell you all that there will be no exceptions be made, not when we're dealing with the issue of life or death.
The Prime Minister also reassured those confined within the city that their essential supplies will remain stocked, with government agencies able to resupply when needed. As the impact of the coronavirus continues to grow, the Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission is on high alert for fraud that may arise. Commission Chief Executive Joel Abraham has confirmed that they have conducted search and seizure on 7 businesses. Kritika Kumar reports.
The FCCC says some businesses appear to be exploiting public fear about COVID-19.
Again, we'd like to reiterate, we're not saying these businesses have done wrong. Our investigation is just to ensure that we ascertain what has happened, and we are investigating it. We've got teams that are currently undertaking surveys.
The FCCC believes panic buying is posing a risk to supply chains in the country, who are fighting against time to have their shelves stocked.
The rate at which people are rushing in to buy, that is causing a major disruption in the local supply chain. So supply chain again on timetable based.
The Consumer Council is also actively monitoring the market for any traders marketing products with fraudulent prices.
Because you are creating a shortage, and this is the time some unethical traders are making use of, they are taking advantage of the situation and they are pushing the prices up.
Panic buying increased across Fiji this week among fears that the outbreak will accelerate, leaving families trapped inside their homes with limited supplies. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Up ahead, flu season adds to COVID woes. And Employers Federation puts measures in place. Details after the break.
Pula natang ko aprosa ng karse, ko erkraki, do talebe on varong na Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
A lot of people are turning up at medical clinics with the common cold and influenza. Fiji Medical Association president says a flu bug is going around and it's becoming difficult to differentiate between the common flu and COVID-19 as both have similar symptoms. Kritika Kumar reports.
The flu season, right?
Dr. Basharat Munshi is advising general practitioners to take note of all their patients' travel history.
At the moment, the case definition is a history of travel or history of contact with someone with COVID-19. So that's the only way to discriminate it.
Dr. Munshi says patients with no travel history are given symptomatic treatment. However, if the patients have a positive history, the practitioners follow the protocol in place.
There's a protocol in place where we inform the Fiji Center for Disease Control. The team mobilizes and these patients get flagged and tested for coronavirus and they get isolated.
Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Chemesa Tundravu has confirmed that fever clinics are now operational in Lautoka and they intend to roll this out in rest of the country.
It certainly allows more access for members of the public to be able to get to a facility where a health staff is without having to visit the hospital.
Remember, this is the flu season, so the symptoms are relatively similar to flu. It is very important that they are focusing on the task at hand and pick up those with a low tolerance who they suspect would have COVID-19.
Dr. Munshi says COVID-19 is highly infectious, so close contact increases the likelihood of transmission. Therefore, Fijians should start picking up habits that will reduce the chances of contracting the virus. The association says people must visit a doctor if they develop flu-like symptoms. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation is advising businesses, organizations, retailers and companies, including essential service providers, to closely liaise with relevant government branches on how to respond to COVID-19. The Federation says the safety of Fijians in any working environment is paramount, and employers have been urged to have measures and continuity plan in place. Goreitandulala reports.
The Federation says they are encouraging employers to prioritize the safety of their employees, with some organizations already taking extreme measures such as temporary shutdown.
What they did was they closed the office down for 2 days. They sanitized the office, meaning spray, the doorknobs, the sinks and all. They made sure they sanitized all of them. Got all the employees checked at the hospitals, and then they reopened the office again 2 days, on the third day after all the testings were completed.
FCCC Chief Executive Joel Abraham says they're working with the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation as well as the Ministry of Employment in developing strategies that will help businesses, traders and employers cope with COVID-19.
One is putting up a guidance note for workplace for COVID-19, along with a sample business continuity plan. Along with this, we've got a preparedness action plan to say we've got a continuity plan, but what will we do in case something does happen? Of course, the third thing is employment advisories.
And give them advice and say, this is what government has directed all organizations to do, and we therefore would advise you to follow suit.
FBC News understands that a surveillance team will be sent to conduct contact tracing if a person in a working environment displays symptoms of COVID-19. Several attempts to get a comment from the Employment Ministry regarding the matter have so far proven futile. Koritandulala, FBC News.
The fear of COVID-19 led to a drastic drop in consumers yesterday at the Nosori market, say vendors. The market, which is normally a busy area for Nosori on a Saturday, was largely deserted, and vendors say this was an unusual scene. Apenisa Wangairandovo reports.
A vendor in the market says Saturdays are normally a busy day. However, this weekend the market was visibly deserted.
there's nearly 20% coming now, from 100% to 20% now. See now, today is Saturday, should be busy. We can count the person here.
Another concerned vendor, Balwant Singh, who had gloves and a face mask, says people need to ensure they have personal protective gear when they are out in public.
Today I wear the thing, nose mask and the hand glove to selling the Fiji tobacco because the virus in the Fiji, safety comes first. People should wear the thing.
Restaurants within the Nosuri market facility did not wait to take the risk as staff was provided face masks and gloves from their employees.
My boss ordered from somewhere, I don't know where he ordered a mask from, just for our safety in the restaurant because we're serving the customers. It's and also it's from the Ministry of Health.
While supermarkets in Nosuri were in full swing, police was also out and about. Youths were directed by police not to go to billiard shops, with the Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama on Thursday announcing a ban of social gatherings of 20 people and more. Apinisawan Gerdobu, FBC News.
The Fijian Broadcasting Corporation is taking stringent measures in its fight against COVID-19. This comes as its senior Western journalist, Felipe Naikaso, is in voluntary self-isolation. Naikaso came in close contact with the second COVID-19 case, who is the mother of the first patient. This was during an interview Naikaso conducted and before the woman was put in isolation. Naikaso and FBC are working closely with the Ministry of Health to ensure that all procedures are followed. Apart from him, the entire FBC West Office team who had been in contact with Naikaso are also self-isolating for the next 14 days. It is also believed that some other personnel from other media companies also interviewed the woman.
So basically since yesterday, I've been in just one room in our flat. My family, they've gone up to my in-laws' place, and this is just all precautionary measures. Hardly anything you can do but just read books and just watch movies or even go on the internet. But you're just confined to the room. But I believe it's the best thing at the moment.
In light of this current worldwide outbreak and with 2 cases in Fiji, FBC is advising the general public that it will not be accepting any visitors at its premises in Suva, Nandi and Lambasa. All correspondence regarding death notices and other notices are to be faxed or emailed or phoned in. In sports tonight, Olympics preparations will continue for Fiji Sevens. And Fiji football race against time for Nations Cup. This and more coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lautoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The National Sevens players in Lautoka are following their training programs. These players include Kaleoni Nasoko, Napoleoni Ratu and Waisea Nadungu, who will not be able to make it to Suva as Lautoka is on lockdown at the moment. Fiji Rugby Union Chief Executive John O'Connor says the national side will continue their preparation for the Tokyo Olympics, but at the moment the safety of everyone involved is paramount.
But they are allowed to move around Lautoka, so the management have given them the specific training programs that they can continue with training in the next 2 weeks before we make a decision in compliance whatever common measures will be.
Preparations for the 2021 Rugby League World Cup will still go ahead. Fiji National Rugby League President Williamino Poto says they have postponed their competitions, but the Fiji Mbati's build-up to next year's World Cup will continue. Earlier this week, FNRL cancelled the Fiji Secondary School Boys Rugby League New Zealand tour.
The World Cup planning is still in place for 2021, but we certainly will be looking at the situation very about the COVID-19 and the international body is also looking at it, and we will make decisions accordingly on that one.
The Fiji Football Association plans to have more workshops in the future for their coaches with the guidance of national coach Fleming Sheretslev. Sheretslev briefed Fiji FA last week on his vision, and he also went to Tahiti and Vanuatu to watch Lautoka and Ba play in the OFC Champions League. Fiji FA Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says the coach will have workshops with district officials, including those in the Northern Division.
We might take him across to Vanuatu, do the same, and after that we will get the youth coaches, the women's coaches, so that he'll tell them how to prepare the teams at district club levels, so that will help him at the national level.
Two tightly contested matches were played last night in round 2 of the NRL. The Melbourne defeated Cronulla Sharks thanks to a Tui Kamikambitha try, while the Manly Sea Eagles beat defending champions the Roosters 9-8. Occasional rain was experienced over the western and northern parts of Itilevu and Vanuatu, Yasawa and Mamanuca group. Cloudy conditions with some showers elsewhere. An active trough of low pressure with associated cloud and rain continues to affect the group. Looking at the west, periods of heavy rain was visible in the division. A flash flood warning remains in force for all low-lying areas of Nandi, Lautoka, Ba, Tavua and Rakiraki catchment. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, cloudy conditions prevailed with slight showers later in the afternoon. And up north, heavy rain continued throughout the day with cloudy periods experienced in some areas. At sea, north to northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Wind possibly gusting up to 30 knots in areas of thunderstorms. Turning to the tides, high tide at 9:47 p.m. with low tide at 3:55 a.m., sunrise at 6:09. For tomorrow, expect more rain as there's a heavy rain warning over the group. And tomorrow's temperatures, it will remain in the low 30s. Looking further onto Monday or tomorrow, rain to continue. Recapping the main stories. Authorities clamp down on rumour mongering. Consumer bodies monitor possible fraud and long queues outside airline office. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM, to our poll question segment. This week, we're asking, should Fijians resort to wearing face masks in light of the COVID-19 threat? Visit our FBC website to answer. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email, fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News, or you can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. And before we go, remember that we are amidst a global pandemic. Please ensure to follow all advice from authorities and also only follow the official announcements and updates. Stay safe, and also if you are out shopping, please be considerate. And that was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe and good night.
I'm Miri, I'm from Lautoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.